Dairies, for anyone who's gluten and dairy free, this is actually a really good one. And it uses very different techniques that you might not have seen before with a dessert. So I'm really looking forward to showing that to you. Right. Ooh, I'm a bit worried about how much oil is in here.
Too much oil? We can
Possibly.
remove some oil.
Possibly, yeah. A bit worried. Okay, let's start with my snapper. So I'm going to do a Szechuanese fish dish. Very, very easy, okay, but looks spectacular. First of all, we're going to just score this fish. Oh, maybe not that nice. Along its fattest part of the flesh, right to the bone. So I'm going to do it 3 times, and this is just going to let it cook really quickly, but also allow for the marinade to penetrate into the flesh. Yeah, I think that's better, Chef. Thank you. Okay. Next, I'm going to add. What am I adding? Here.
Was there a vinegar? Was there?
It's here. Okay. So a little bit of. Ginger, grated or finely chopped is fine. Always goes incredibly well with seafood, of course, ginger.
Po, how do you feel about jarred ginger?
Oh, dodgy. Look, you know what? I used to be real purist with things, but now I feel if that's all you can manage, I'd rather use jarred ginger than no ginger at all. You know? I just think whatever you are financially able to do, because I know everyone has different economic situations, and fresh ginger is really expensive, and sometimes it's really hard to find if you live in a rural area. That's actually probably a bit exotic, so it might be your only option. So if that is the case, I think it's fine. But of course, you're never gonna find that vibrance that you would get from fresh ginger. That's fresh ginger. Okay, that was white pepper. With Chinese food, we usually always use white pepper, unless it's stipulated in the recipe, like black pepper beef or black pepper whatever. Otherwise, always white pepper. It's just more fragrant, and it's got a little bit more of a kick as well. I just totally poured it, not on the fish. So this is Shaoxin rice wine. Shaoxin rice wine is such an imperative for your kitchen pantry. It just adds a really lovely sweetness. It's fantastic in anything: soups, stir fries, noodle dishes, anything after you've browned your aromatics, like your ginger, garlic, onion, whatever. Just add a splash of that, and we'll just add this little bit of complexity and sweetness to any dish. It's very, very yum. So I'm going to let that marinate for about 10 minutes. With seafood, you only really need about 10 minutes to marinate. So I'm going to test the oil. No one owns a thermometer, really, do they? I don't. So this is how you test it. Get a wooden item, chopsticks or wooden spoon, and just stick it in the oil and see how it's got bubbles that are rapidly popping out from the spoon. That means the oil's ready. When it's not ready, it's very sluggish, and you know it's not quite ready yet. So this is my really dodgy home thermometer. I hate cooking with special equipment. I always cook how I think most people cook at home, which is, without special equipment. That's how I like to cook. Okay, so let's just pretend that this is all marinated, and it's been nearly 10 minutes. I'm going to just pat that dry a little bit. Who's scared of deep frying? I know a lot of people. I used to be super scared of deep frying. This is all you need to know, okay? What causes the oil to spit is moisture. So if you remove the moisture, it will not spit. That's just the science of it, okay? So just make sure you pat your fish dry before popping it in there. And even when you make things like spring rolls, that kind of thing, before you wrap the filling, make sure you've drained it. So Mum always taught me when I was younger, like you just make a spring roll filling. If you can, drain it in the fridge for a couple of hours or overnight. And then when you wrap it, it will least be likely to have any moisture caught in it, which will then penetrate through the skin, and then when you fry it, it will pop. So that's what makes it pop. Okay, so you'll see, oh, hang on. Let me just get rid of that moisture. I'm going to slide this in really gently, and you'll see. Well, that was a bit more aggressive than I thought it would be.
It's bubbling away, that's for sure. Is there any other fish that you could use other than snapper?
Yeah, any fish. And you know what? If you're a bit too scared of doing this, you can just bake some fillets in an oven. Seriously, just do it however you can. It's kind of all on the sauce, but this is a really delicious way to do it and a very quick way to do it. So you'll see in a minute. So all you want to do is just bathe whatever's sticking out. So you don't really have to turn it around because it's too dangerous. That'll be nearly done. So that's how quick that is. I'm just going to push that in a little bit.
Yeah, because a fish that size in the oven would take 20 minutes maybe, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So that's very quick.
Yeah, it's really quick. It's pretty instant. So that's just to crisp up his little tail.
What's the ideal cooking temperature?
For frying, it's about 160 degrees. But I usually just test it with a food item. So I'll just get a little cube of bread, something like that, pop in the oil. It should take about 10 seconds. 10 to 12, 15 seconds is about good. Anything less than that, you're going to burn whatever you're cooking, okay? A lot of people think deep frying is all about hot, but it's actually about frying something stably on a moderate temperature so that you draw all the moisture out and then it will stay crisp for hours. Has anyone cooked something, fried something, where it fried right away, went brown, and then it's just like slumped 2 minutes later? That's because you haven't fried it for long enough. So it has to be lower temperature, slower, longer. Okay, I think this is nearly ready, or it is ready. So I'm going to pop him out, fish him out.
You're going to fish out the fish?
I'm going to fish out the fish.
It's interesting what you said about the crispiness holding for a long time. I was in New York recently and we went to Harlem to eat some fried chicken. And we got a great recommendation for this place called Charlie Bird. And when we went there, we were so surprised that there wasn't a deep fryer in sight. And the chicken was just held in these warmers. And they just had like, you know, the grits and the greens and rice to sort of just plonk on a plate from a bain-marie section.
Yeah.
And, you know, I kind of thought, oh, this is going to be really bad because the chicken's already pre-cooked. I don't know how long it's been sitting there.
Yeah.
But it was totally perfectly crispy.
Was
and
it?
delicious. And now I know why, just from what you told me. So that's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
that's because it's been, all the moisture's been drawn out.
Yeah. But it was still
Thank you,
moist.
Chef.
Still moist chicken.
Okay, so next I'm gonna cook the sauce. So this is where all the flavour comes. I'm going to add the holy trinity of all Asian stir fries. Which is ginger. And I'm going to put it into cold oil. A lot of people will be like, oh, really? Yes, put it into cold oil because we all think that we're on TV and we have the oil busting hot because that's what you get told with stir frying. And when you pop your aromatics in there, they burn immediately, right? So it doesn't make any difference. Just pop it into cold oil and let it come to heat and let it just slowly caramelize, and then you have way more control over it. Okay, and then here we have chobanjiang, which is chili bean paste. So it's a bit like miso, but it's got chili in it. So it's fermented the same way, soybeans with chili. Oh no, actually, what am I doing? I'm getting ahead of myself. Kept running out of time last couple of days, so we'll just caramelize that till it's nice and golden.
Oh, I can smell it already. Delicious.
Yes, so
So,
good.
tell everyone what you've got happening in Adelaide.
Well, I'm actually just, we're about to open at the airport. So if anyone's coming to Adelaide, you don't have to look for me anymore. I'm going to be right there. Just going to add a little bit more ginger.
So you've got your jam face market stall at Adelaide Market.
Yes. Oh, no. We don't have LA Markets anymore. I've got I've got a Sunday pop-up at the Farmers Market.
It's your local one, isn't it?
Yes, that's the local one, yeah. So if any of you are in Adelaide for a weekend, come and say hi. I'm there every Sunday, except this Sunday. Because I'm here.
Yeah, who's manning the stand for you today?
All my 4 partners. So I've got 3 other partners, yeah.
And it's going to be called what at the airport?
Jam face at the airport.
Jam face at the airport.
Yeah.
Lovely.
A lot of people also worry about what type of oil they use. As a general rule, you use vegetable-based oils for Chinese cooking. But you know what? I just started to use olive. I don't care anymore. Because it's just healthier for you. And I find nothing ever gets to that crazy intense heat as it would in a Chinese restaurant when you've got burner that's that big. You're just cooking on a home stove, and that's my phone.
No, who's calling you? Is it the stand? Is it the markets?
So sorry.
Connor just
How embarrassing! That was one of my partners. You might be going, "Where are you?" Just kidding. Okay, so I'm just gonna let that get really hot. I'm about to also add something else here. Was that vibrating? I'm so sorry. Okay, this is cloud ear, also called black fungus. Really unattractive name. It's a fungi, so it grows on a tree. There's not really much flavour to it. It's quite neutral texture, but it's crunchy. It's got this really lovely texture. So it always adds textural interest. And it's kind of velvety, so sauces stick to it really nicely. Alrighty, this is starting to happen. Did you know that, I don't know if you know, but non-stick fry pans conduct heat a lot more poorly than a stainless steel fry pan. So if you're ever sealing meat or anything like that, always use a stainless steel fry pan, because in a non-stick fry pan, it will almost invariably cook all the way through before it browns, if it's thin enough. So kind of know your surfaces and what you need them for. I always use non-stick for fish though, because I find the skin tends to stick and then you lose half. If you want to do crispy skin, you lose half of it on the fry pan. Okay, this is looking amazing. So I'm going to just pop some jasmine rice wine, about 2 tablespoons. And what I love about this recipe is you can be as free as you're watching me do this. I'm not just showing off. You just kind of taste your way through it. Spoon. Okay, so about 2 tablespoons of doubanjiang. And then I'm going to add a little drop of salt. Oh, no, that was too much. It'll be fine. Sesame, black vinegar, Chinese black vinegar, and light soy. And I need a little bit of sugar as well. Sugar for balance. And I'll just stir that around. Add my, miraculously you watch, it will actually taste okay. You can't actually get this combo wrong. It'll just have a different accent, it might be a little bit more vinegary. So with black vinegars, if you want to write this down, if you want to get Qingqiang vinegar, that is my favourite Chinese black vinegar. It has just this particular characteristic to it, very hard to describe. It just adds so much pizzazz to your stir fries and any of your stews or anything like that. Okay, so here's water and some corn flour. I'm so chaotic on stage. So bad.
No, I think this is how, people cook at home. It's real life.
Okay, so make sure that there's no lumps, of course, because you don't want a big glob of that in there. And just keep stirring that, and I'll just add a little bit more water. Add more water. Okay, that's it. So I'm just going to taste that in a minute, and then we'll balance that. So see whether we need more vinegar, soy, or anything else. I definitely put a bit too much sesame then. It was meant to be a few drops, but it was like 2 teaspoons. I was going to say with sesame oil, you want to be quite careful with it because it's very, very strong. It can completely overpower the dish. So we just want that to thicken.
Could you make a whole batch of this and store it?
Totally.
That's what I'm thinking I need
And
to
for
do.
the veggies out there, this is actually called fish fragrance sauce because it's traditionally put on this fish, but it's delicious on eggplant. And there's a very well-known dish also called fish fragrant eggplant, but it's actually vegan friendly. So it's this sauce, which is all vegan friendly, and then what you would do is just pan fry some big chunks of eggplant in a fair bit of oil, get it really nice and brown, and then just pour this over the top. You can add some tofu if you want. Yeah, I used to be, Sammy, I don't know about you, but when I first came out of MasterChef, I think I was very self-conscious about looking like a chef. And as I've become more and more kind of secure about what I represent, in the foodscape, I really just want to I don't care about whether people think I'm clever anymore. I just want people to look at that thing that I make and go, I want to make that. I think I can make that. So as I've gotten older, I find that I'm using less and less fancy stuff. I'm actually steering away from, doing stuff that I feel like can be a little bit alienating for most people at home. So I'm all about, making things that are doable, and I'm all for substituting. I used to be like, no, you cannot. You have to use this, Chinese parsley, whatever. Now I'm like, use parsley, use coriander, whatever. And I just want people to learn how to be confident in the kitchen and have a red hot go. Because the thing that teaches you the most is when you make mistakes. Okay, that's ready. So I'm just going to pour that all over. Oh my God, how good does that look?
Delicious. I think we should...
Oh no, I forgot to balance it.
Is this the part where I taste some, though?
Oh God. I reckon it'll be fine. I reckon.
Is it good?
It's perfect.
Oh, there we go. Round of applause, everyone.
Okay. Such a disaster zone. Okay. I could totally be lying then. Okay. I'm just going to add some spring onions. I use the whole thing. People are really weird about, use the green part, white part. I'm a migrant. We get taught to use everything. Okay, so that goes there. Some, what is that? Coriander, bit of dementia. Bit of sprinkling of dementia. And some chilies. And that's it. That's my Szechuan fish. How fast is that? Even a clown like me can make it.